No controller for Chase. Should have planned ahead. All right, welcome to episode 159 of the Zenspath Entertainment Network podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Powers, and joining me is just the Triforce of us. We've got Steven.
Yes.
Chase.
G'day.
And of course, myself. We'll let you argue over which is which. Who is power? Who is courage? Who is wisdom? So, all right. Well, everyone else is busy doing other things, so it's just the three of us here to talk a lot about Xbox this week, along with some Capcom AI news and our run through the speedrun. But before we get into that, we're going to talk about what we've been up to. So to start us off this week, Chase, what you been doing?
Unsurprisingly, I've still been playing Stalker 2.
I need to get back into that.
That game does not respect your time in any way, shape, or form. It doesn't respect you. Doesn't respect anybody.
Sounds about right.
That game will shit on you and not feel bad about it one bit. No, I'm loving the game. So far, I've progressed the story a little bit, but I also take the time to like run around to like all these different areas and try to like collect stuff and collect these different like artifacts and some other stuff. I did have one. There was one part of the game when I was continuing the main story that I was like, oh my god, can this part please end? Like, but that's just because the way they've set up the mutants in the game, it's really quite annoying. They have this tendency to, because they don't drop loot, which is fine in and of itself, but the problem is this one area that you go into, you're completely just onslaughted by mutants like the entire time. So I got to the point where I was like, I had like no ammo. I was like picking up weapons and then just like using like the 4 bullets that were in them just to like try to like fight stuff. It was like, okay, this is horrible. Can we please, like, can I just like not see a mutant for a while, please? But no, it's all right. And then I also just recently started playing Dynasty Warriors Origins. I'm enjoying it so far. I just hope that, because I know there's quite a few people that haven't played like Dynasty Warriors before that are liking this game. And I'm hoping that it doesn't turn into this thing where KT's like, okay, well, let's just make them more like this now. I don't mind them being spin-offs. I just don't want them to be mainline games.
How is it different, if you don't mind me asking, how is it different from the normal Dynasty Warriors? Like I've messed with some of the previous mainline ones a little bit, but
so your normal mainline Dynasty Warriors games have always been where you get to play as like, you could choose who your characters are. Like you can play as multiple different people throughout the Three Kingdoms period of China. It's based on Romance of the Three Kingdoms novel. But the difference between that and Origins is the biggest thing is that you're playing as just this one unnamed guy, Wanderer, like the Wanderer or whatever you choose to name him as. And so, which is fine. Like there's definitely a lot more story element to this game. Because there's going to be like there's like this fantastical story element that's kind of lingering in the background. The gameplay is great, and I hope that like Swan and I were just talking about earlier, like I hope that they take elements from this gameplay and put it in a mainline game where you still get to play as everybody.
Gotcha.
So that's the
closest thing comparison I can kind of think of with that would be kind of like how Monster Hunter World was compared to the rest of the Monster Hunter series, where they kind of changed it to make it more like newer friendly or whatever. And then, then they took some of that stuff for later ones.
It's definitely, I definitely kind of agree with that because I think Koei Tecmo's been looking for ways to, kind of make Dynasty Wars more appealing to more people.
Grow the brand.
Working.
Yeah. It is working. It's just that I hope that they don't necessarily change too much.
Don't lose the plot.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. All right, Steven, what about you? What you been doing?
So I'd like to say, Chase, I'm disappointed that you're still playing the same game. I think you should try some new games and stop playing the same game all the time.
What would you recommend,
It's getting redundant. But anyway, I've been playing Multiverses and logging in every day. get my dailies. And
You really should just make that
ZZZ
an audio
started
clip
a
and
new
just play it.
season, so that's more gotcha for me to do and more grinding for me to do, in hopes that I don't have to spend money towards the end of the season to get the character I want. Stories have been fantastic. It's just Chris got back into it. Now he's hooked again, and he got the character I was looking for, so I hate him.
Nice.
So there's that. But I've also still been playing Fantasia Neo Dimension. I want to get through this game because I just, it's becoming a comfort game for me. Like I like just picking up and playing a little bit of it, just because of the way that they put so many save points everywhere.
I need to remember to pick that one up. It was on my list. I wanted to play. I just been forgetting to pick it up. So, all right. Well, as for myself, we had snow in North Florida, which is the first time I've ever seen snow in my life in this area. It did snow here previously in 1989, but that happened to be the exact year we went back to Virginia for Christmas, and ironically didn't get snow that year. So I've got a lot of drone shots, videos, photos, things I've taken as I was walking my daughter and Amanda, my wife, around and showing them, all the stuff with the snow and watching as people in Florida are freaking out, excited because they've never seen snow before, or freaking out, terrified because they don't know how to drive in it or walk in it. One of my coworkers apparently slipped and bonked his head on the ground, and other people, one guy tried to do donuts, is the redneck way, and ended up putting his car into a creek, or his truck into a creek. Good job. Because, congrats, you can do donuts, but then you have no traction to stop.
What was the creek called? Was it Shit Creek? Did he go up Shit Creek?
Without a paddle?
Yeah, probably frozen. But
Frozen Shit Creek, that's got to be nasty.
yeah, I did pull the little thing. Amanda kept saying she wanted to do snow angels. So when the snow started officially coming down and it was getting, cause, you have like, it's almost like rain, but it's ice crystals. And I'm like, okay, it's not technically snow at that point. It's just kind of cold rain. For me, it's always been when the snow flurries start moving with the wind. So it's not a straight fall that kind of moves.
It's not a
It
sprinkle.
starts building. I was like, okay, that's a proper snow. So we finally got that. And we got like a good 5 or 6 inches of snow, which for this area is drastically crazy. For Steven, it was Tuesday. For some areas up north.
It was last year.
Right.
This year we haven't seen anything but like dustings here and there that don't last more than a few hours.
Yeah, we got your snow this time for a day. But I woke up Amanda because she wanted to do a snow angel so bad. And I couldn't help it. I knocked on the door and started singing, "Do you want to build a snowman?" Which I taught my neighbor, Pablo. The guy's absolutely fantastic. His family's, they immigrated here. He'd never seen snow before. So I taught his kids how to make a snowman, and then ended up taking a really good portrait of the little one they made because it was just adorable how they built it. Printed that and gave it to them so they have a picture of their first snowman. And then I brought a snowball to him at his house, going like, "Here you go." Like it's good snowball packing snow. Finally, showed him where to get it, how to make it, and then later hit him in the face with one. He hit me back. We were laughing. It was great. So
should be like, here, keep this in your freezer and then hit somebody with it in June.
I thought about that. I was like, damn it, I really should have kept a Florida snowball to see how long it would last.
I miss
beyond
the snow.
that. Say what?
I said I miss the snow.
I did too. Once we actually had it, I was like, this was cool. Is it just me? Like, I love just walking around hearing the crunching of the snow. Like I've
quiet. I like how quiet it becomes when there's snow.
Yeah. I'll have to send you guys the drone shots and stuff I took so you can see how much friggin' snow we got for an area that never gets snow. It was weird. Beyond that, I haven't been playing too much game wise. I did play some Donkey Kong Country's Return HD because it just happens to be on my Switch. I can pick it up and play it. I've been going through a few more levels. I finished the second area and I'm moving on to the third one now. But most of my time has been spent completely rebuilding the game room. Like I've just finally gotten just set on doing this, and I did all the drywall and mudding on 2 of the walls, painted both of them, which I decided we were doing a kind of darkish gray for the wall behind the TV and the 2 side walls. The back wall is jet black, and I got that one painted in one of the side walls. and then we're going to do like a bone off-white for the ceiling so that it will reflect down light better since the walls aren't going to reflect as much. It'll help light it up some, but then whatever colors I use, like for different LEDs or changing colors, those will bounce without being for stuff changing, so I can do photography and other stuff. But I redid the wall. I finally started putting the shelves up, and Steven's been following my my photos as I've been posting them in our Discord, where I've just got all of my Wii U, all of my Switch, a bunch of my NES games up there, all of my PC, Sega Saturn, Sega CD games are up there now. I've still got to put more shelves so I can put all my PlayStation and Xbox stuff and everything
Yeah,
up
it's
there.
reminding me of AVGN's setup, because whenever you look behind him, he's got one like thick piece of wood all the way across, so he can fit all the games across, and then he's got different height ones because one is used for all his mini arcade machines, and then another one's used for all the NES, all the boxed Atari and stuff. And I was just like, "Yep." I was like, "You're doing something similar. I like that style."
Yeah, I need to look and see. Yeah, here it is. So there's a channel called Saturday Morning Gamer over on YouTube. I'd never seen the guy before, but I went looking for designs, and he was like, "Yeah, here's a basic idea of what I use for shelves." And I was like, "I like this. I'm going to use that." And that's what I've been doing. Um, they they hold really well. It's definitely a lot cheaper than what I was originally going with, but I'm still going to have to use some of the more expensive shelf arms that I was going to get because those things hold like 400 pounds. And you realize when you build these shelves, plastic cases don't weigh much. CD cases, on the other hand, builds up weight fast, and they will start bending down the arms. And I was like, "Oh, okay, no."
Yeah,
So
because I bought. Because what I did is Home Depot sold some really nice thick shelves
mhm.
that fit in the walls like uh, pretty effortlessly. So I have those kind of along. Because I used every piece of wall I have down here,
This is
and I
tall
have.
enough. I have to have a step stool, even at my height. I'm 6'1". I cannot reach the top shelf. Like I have to have a step stool. So I'm
So
like, the
I
games I don't play much are going way up there.
I have three that hold every amiibo. Um, the loose, of course.
Right.
I have another one behind me that has a lot of the RPGs or sealed or more boxed NES games and stuff. I have another one for just PlayStation RPGs, and I have another one for every holiday Pikachu that they released.
Oh, nice.
So, but when I
Yeah.
saw these shelves, I was like, I'll get one and see what it's like. And then I fell in love with them. I was like, I need more.
I'm still going to integrate like those display cases you saw previously that you really liked. I might just end up putting those back up on the stereo shelf, but I want to clear one of the sides to be nothing but handheld systems. So I'm trying to rework some of the toys, but I like being able to display and most importantly, be able to just pick up and play. My old
Yeah,
3DS
you
and
have the
just
advantage that
PS2.
if you're like, I need to display this, I'll just print out a stand for it.
Yeah, that's also an option I might look into. So, but I'm liking how it's coming along. And for any of you out there that suffer from ADHD like I do, and you look at a task and it just seems overwhelming, what I finally broke down and started doing was just doing a small section. Like I'm just going to do this wall tonight. Okay, I'll work on this part, and instead of trying to do the entire thing, because I did the insulation in the ceiling, I still don't have drywall on the ceiling, but I'm finishing the walls and I'll work my way around it. I've also kind of not given a damn if the drywall is not perfect. Like it is not sanded smooth. The walls do look rough, but I don't give a shit. So what does it matter? Like there's going to be
You're
games
gonna
in front
cover
of
the
it
walls
anyways.
with gaming, so it doesn't matter.
Right. It does its job and it's good. So I'm happy with it. I'm really liking how the room is turning out. Amanda's excited because she's like, "Oh, I'm going to take so many naps in here." Our couch folds out into a bed in there, like you can pull it out like a futon type thing. So she'll turn the heater on and just there's no windows in any of these rooms, so it's the darkest this house gets. So yeah, she sleeps during the day sometimes, so she'll nap out here. All right, let's move into our little bit of the group chat.
Jeez, we almost made it.
Yep. So group chat for this week, we're talking about Demio again that we've all been playing, and our last adventure going through one of the missions, we got all the way to the last boss of this book and died, and he only had 3 freaking hit points left. Oh my god, it sucks so bad.
So to be honest, I'm surprised we got that close because it was a cursed run from the point that somebody missed and hit me and killed me when I had the key to exit the level.
Yeah.
And that was like
Wasn't
the
me,
end
by the
of
way.
me. Like I couldn't come back. That was the last me until the next book, which was the boss. But then when we went to a boss, Shanoa decided, I think everybody's out of range of all these flasks. They will not explode.
Got
And then,
frozen.
spoiler, she was wrong. Chase is like, why? And then like I think one or two of us died, and I was like, well,
I was frozen and
Goodbye.
I could have gotten the final hit. And I was like, I got all this stuff, I can do this. And as soon as I was frozen, I was like, never mind. I'm done.
Yeah, that tsunami which pushed the ice elemental right into you into the corner. I was like, oh no.
Uh it was so bad, it was hilarious. Are we gonna take another crack at it tonight? Are we gonna try and get through
we
this
should.
again?
It's the last one.
Yeah, we're just gonna keep doing this till we finish it, damn it.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think because I think you can get multiples of that card that Shinoa got, so I think if we can get a rejuvenation, we should try to get as many as possible and spread them around amongst us.
It's almost, I mean, it's kind of roguelike in how it works because the
Yeah.
maps change a little bit and we don't know what cards are going to be available in between rounds for us to buy. So it's just
Yeah, we
literally
couldn't even
luck
find
of
the
the
guy
draw.
with the key forever.
Yeah.
That was hilarious. First,
And
I
then
think it was the first part of it. We just couldn't find his ass.
we almost killed the guy that makes all those stupid riffs too, but he kept running away everywhere all over the
I
map.
was hell bent on hunting him down.
And
I
then
think
there's way too many people. But then, like, I was like, I killed him. We can leave.
Yeah, I think Steven finally killed him, and I was like, all right, I'm satisfied. Let's go.
Oh, good
Oh
times.
man, that game. Yeah,
I love that game.
See, Steven, you still complaining that I bought it for you? Or you laughing and having fun with it? Damn it!
Only complaining to Steam Deck because they make Discord so hard to work on it.
Yeah, you think at this point they would have like a native way to do that. So I don't know. We haven't tried using the actual. Well, we're not all playing on Steam, so we can't use Steam's chat function. Well, damn. So maybe Steam itself just needs to integrate it.
Yeah, make Discord Steam verified.
So
That's
if
what
you
it is.
if
Steam
you
Deck
had to
verified.
choose if you had to choose between Steam getting access or Nintendo getting access, but whoever didn't get it could never get it in the future, which one would you
Nintendo.
choose? Okay. I
Steam
figured
Deck,
that.
I'd just be like, sorry, and I'll trade it in for more Nintendo games.
There's something a funny little side piece. Apparently, the announcement of the Switch 2 has actually dropped the sales on the Steam Decks. Like their sales numbers have dropped a good bit after it was announced. It's like, okay, guess people are excited for it. So, all right, let's go ahead and jump into our news. So, Xbox Developer Direct 25 happened this week, and I have to say this is one of the better ones they've had in a long time. Like, just hit after hit. I think I actually gained more interest in every single game they announced. So let's start talking about that. First off, all the games they directly said support Xbox Play Anywhere, Xbox Cloud Gaming, and support cross saves and cross progression for Xbox and PC at least. No word if the PS5 editions also have it, but I would not be surprised if they had at least cross progression. They're not going to have cross buy though. I can tell you that right now.
They'll have better shadows.
Maybe, I don't know. So Microsoft started off immediately with the surprise game, which ended up becoming 2 surprise games that everybody wondered about. So Ninja Gaiden 4 coming out fall 2025 for Xbox Series X, S, PC, and PS5.
And Game Pass.
And I left Game Pass off because it's whatever. But this is from Team Ninja and Platinum Games, which I thought was kind of a fun combination. I know some people have been having kind of doubts on it, but it made me excited that the two are working together. It seems like they've all kind of brought their A game with it because, good God, the game looked amazing. What was y'all's first impression when you saw it, Chase?
I was like yelling at the top of my lungs. Like I was just so happy. I
What
played.
time was it you when this event happened, or did you catch it the next day?
I just watched it this morning
Oh,
before, so that way it was fresh in my mind. But I was like, I've waited 10 years for this game, like
right.
because I've played 1, I played 2, I played 3. I enjoyed 3, even though a lot of people didn't. The only one I'd ever played was Yaiba, which apparently was fine that I missed that one because that was pretty
I
bad.
beat that one, and you didn't miss anything.
I even played
But
and beat the one on the DS, which was surprisingly good. Like people, because you held it like a book, and you would use. I even had the
oh,
stylus that was
nice.
his sword. I'll have to break that out sometime. Steven, what about
Um,
you? What's your reaction when you saw it?
At first, I was like, "Oh, they haven't shown the Raging Waters in a long time," so I was like, "This is something Team Ninja themselves is just wanting to premiere." I was like,
Yeah,
"Okay, Koei Tecmo, what you got? You're on the Dynasty Warriors hype train, so what do you got to show us?" And yeah, they came out full force because I was like, "It's either DOA, it's either another DOA, or it could be Ninja Gaiden." And I was like,
I
"Oh,
honestly
Ninja
thought it
Gaiden."
was. I thought it was Dead or Alive when I first saw it. I was like, "Oh, we're getting a new Dead or Alive," because that was the rumor.
yeah, I kind of, I kind of resigned myself to believing that Team Ninja just didn't really want to touch Ninja Gaiden again. I was like, because they had Neo, and
Mm-hmm.
Neo was kind of like their new thing that they were real big into. So I was like, we're probably never gonna see Ninja Gaiden again because of Neo, and
The
then we
bad
see
thing
Ninja
is,
Gaiden again.
I
yeah,
will
I was so
I
convinced it
will
wouldn't.
confess though,
Yeah,
I
go ahead.
hope there's a Ninja Dog mode again. That if I keep dying, I get the little ribbon, so that the game's easier.
Nice. I do admit, like the way the trailer started, I was like, well, it could technically still be, the other one. It doesn't have to be Ninja Gaiden. It could still be Dead or Alive
Yeah,
because he's in it. He's a fighter in there.
yeah,
So it took a sec.
it'd be a new guest
So
character.
they bring in another ninja.
Yeah,
So the Dark Dragon you beat in Ninja Gaiden 3 left its body because it's still alive, but floating above the city, which is causing a never-ending rain called the Rain of Dark Rot. That's apparently destroying and breaking down the city, which just means we're going to have pretty game with lots of puddles and water everywhere. It's so much reflections. You play as Ryu Hayabusa once again, along with a newcomer Yakumo, who's a young ninja from the Raven clan, which is the rival of the Hayabusa clan. Um, they're going for the dismembering and all the other stuff that was ironically first missing in Ninja Gaiden 3 because they took out that dismemberment, if you remember, on the 360, which made the Wii U version kind of the uncensored because that's the one that brought it back, which is what I played it on and still have, ironically.
Yeah, and they
Um,
also made it that the two ninja, um, what do you call it, traverse differently. Ryu
mhm.
Hayabusa is more kind of like parkourish, while Yakumo's like strings and stuff flying all over the place.
Almost Spider-Man with some of it being able to swing
Yeah,
around. They're definitely pushing for more verticality again, so there's a lot of kind of climbing on things and jumping around. I liked the stylized kills. Like they would show the blood and the decapitations, but every once in a while it would go to this like red with like whited out characters and kind of a stylized look. And I was like, that looked really nice. Like it popped in a nice way, not just their heads. Um, so I'm curious how much of the divide, like, are we going to play mostly as Yakumo and then get Ryu for parts of it or separated pieces, or can you swap out? And we don't know yet, but we'll
I
find out
think
pretty quick. So,
I think the way that they kind of the way they were showing the trailer or the kind
mhm.
of the gameplay footage of the background while they're talking, I think Yakumo's going to be kind of the main character, and I think Ryu's going to be like there to accentuate the story, kind of like how we played. I think what was it, Halo 5, where you played as Locke for most of the game, but then you played as Master Chief for like the certain segments to kind of understand what was going on parallel to that in these segments. I think that's what they're kind of maybe going for a little bit.
Yeah, it's kind of what it felt like. Which I'm not too mad because our next game is going to do that to keep track of editing. Uh, Ninja Gaiden 2 Black was also surprise announced and surprise dropped, which is now out uh, for Game Pass. You happy now, Steven? Xbox Series X and S, PC, and PlayStation 5. This one's also being redone by Team Ninja and Platinum Games, but the whole game was redone in Unreal Engine 5, and I've seen comparisons from the original 360 release compared to this, and they have done a really good job. Like, the game looked great before and handled great before. They've really done their A game to this thing.
Yeah, you can even play as the other characters too.
Oh, nice. I didn't know about that.
Yeah, they said quickly in the trailer, like you can play as Ayane, Rachel, and other characters that were in other Ninja Gaidens.
Have either of you downloaded and tried it out yet? I know, Chase, I
I've
think you said you
downloaded it.
downloaded it. Yeah.
I haven't played it yet.
You'll have to give us a report next week. That's your
I
job.
will, actually, because I'll definitely have played it by then. Ninja Gaiden 2 was one of my favorites. So I'm definitely, like, when I saw that, I was just like, oh my god, this is even better. Like,
so much music. And apparently it came out that this was directly a product of Microsoft's working with Team Ninja. They helped publish these games. So it's not quite as extreme as what happened with Nintendo and Sega with Bayonetta, but it's kind of a similar, like, we're getting Ninja Gaiden because Microsoft helped bring it back.
That's awesome, because like I said, it's been 10 years since Ninja Gaiden's really got any love, and now all of a sudden we got like a new 2D platformer. We got a 4, and we've got a 2 remastered basically. And oh man, you are right. It looks good. 2 looks really, really good.
Yeah, this is technically, they're almost getting the Metroid treatment, because we're getting an earlier one that's being redone in modern setup like Prime was, and then we're finally getting the 4th in the series, like we're getting
Ninja Gaiden 4 Beyond. Ninja Gaiden 2 Black also has the physical coming out. I'm gonna probably pre-order it.
It's just PS5.
Oh yeah,
on VGP. So
I think I only
they shipped to New Zealand, Chase.
No, I've got to get that. I've got to get the physical copy. Is it only VGP?
It's VGP and PlayAsia, but PlayAsia, you have to order a lot more to get free shipping, but you get a better conversion rate through VGP.
All right, I'll definitely do that then.
I've still had mostly good experience with the VGP. I guess I meant to mention earlier, we'll sidetrack. I finally got my Mario Kart that I ordered in, and I did get the one that didn't have all the tracks. And I contacted them, and I don't know if it was just the person I was talking with, but they were like, oh yeah, we're aware of the issue. We'll get you to send it back, but we may have already sold out of it, so you may not get one. And I was like, you guys knew you sent the wrong one. Why would you not hold them back to replace those? Because you told us to wait till we got it and verify. Never heard back from beyond that. I got the shipping label and I sent it back, so we'll see. But what I was trying to ask earlier, Steven, Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, was the physical copy just PS5? That's the only one I've seen so far. Okay. That's fine. At this point, physical is physical. Take it.
Yeah, it's hard for Xbox to get any physicals nowadays. It's weird.
Which sucks, because I really like those. All right, let's move on to the next game. They're all. I'm excited about all of them. Who are we kidding? All right, so next up after that, and what I feel really bad for having to follow up the 2 surprise Ninja Gaiden announcements, because everyone was so excited from those, they weren't probably paying attention, but we got to see more of South of Midnight, which has a launch date now of April 8th, coming for Series XS, PC, and Game Pass. So, this one's from Compulsion Games. The story, to me, the more I see about it, kind of feels like a southern cross between Alice in Wonderland and the Wizard of Oz, given the storm, the hurricane that comes through, that basically Hazel gets separated from her mother during the hurricane, is working to find her, and then the trailer that they're living in is kind of taken by a storm, so she's trying to find that and her mom. So it's a little bit of the Wizard of Oz, because the storm takes her to almost a new world because she unlocks these other abilities. And then you've got the stuff from Alice in Wonderland because of the fantastical creatures that she's dealing with as she goes along. Combat and weapons are based on the art of weaving, which makes sense with what they're shown before, but they didn't really go into it till now. And then they did talk more about how they're using a stop motion style of art, which we kind of knew about, but I liked that they talked about how they wanted it to kind of feel the weight of the characters and how everything worked. What did you guys think of this one? Steven, what about you?
So to be honest, I put this in this category that this game's going to be fun, but it's going to be probably reviewed as a 7 or 8 because it's formulaic. What makes it stand out for me though, which I'm glad they mentioned, was the fact that when you're fighting giant boss fights, that there will be a song accompanying it,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what
Dynamic
makes it
song
stand
too.
apart. Because for me, that gives me shades of Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. So I like when
Not the game I
the
figured you
music,
would call out.
I like it when it's not just instrumental. I like it when something is kind of singing to me to hype me up for a boss battle. So when they showed that part, I was just like, okay, you got me here. I was just like, because otherwise this is like a one and done for me. But
Mhm.
I'll pay a closer attention with that music. Because I was just like, I like that touch.
Nice. Chase, what about you? What do you think about it?
I think the game looks really beautiful, but I'm with Swan. I think this is definitely a game that, unfortunately, is going to be, because judging by just watching the trailer, I could kind of see, okay, here's the formula for combat. Like certain enemies, you're going to need to use certain moves against certain enemies. You're going to, which there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that. It like the game looks beautiful. I really like the art style. Probably the weakest one on the out of the list, just for me personally. Like I don't know if it's necessarily a game for me, but Shanoa's actually excited for it. So the games that I wasn't necessarily excited for, Shanoa was excited for because she watched it with me. So I was like, sweet, everybody gets something.
So April 8th, your Xbox is being reprimanded.
Uh,
Just buy another
I'm,
Xbox, damn it.
I'm gonna, yeah, actually, I am gonna talk to you guys about that after the show because I'm probably gonna get another Xbox.
It's like just at
Um,
least maybe get her a Series S if you have to, like something.
well, yeah, the only problem is though is I don't know if the Series S is. That's why I'm gonna talk to you guys about later.
Oh, okay.
So we'll see.
It's a good secondary, but either way. For me, I think I'm a little more excited about this because I live down in the South. Like it's not Louisiana area. I'm down in northern Florida, but we do have a lot of folklore and things, that build up that you kind of learn as you grow up or hear about. And they're exploring a lot of those in interesting ways. And I kind of want to see what they do with that. A lot of the environments and stuff are exaggerated for sure, but kind of familiar. Like I've seen a lot of places like some of these. So I agree. Sadly, I think the reviews will probably be middling, both because of either a technical issue or we could probably all realize there will be people that hate this game simply because of the protagonist and a lot of the stuff around that, which I guarantee is going to come up. But I'm excited for it. I really want to see more about it. All right, on to the next one. All right, Clair Obscur Expedition 33. This one's coming out April 24th for Game Pass, Series X and S, PC, and PlayStation 5. This one's from Sandfall Interactive. We had seen more about this previously as kind of like a turn-based RPG, but every time I see this game, it just looks absolutely stunning. Like they put so many little details into it, and I know this is one Rachel was very excited for. I was kind of hoping she'd be here to be able to talk about it, but she's got her things going on. I got more excited about it seeing how much less linear the world seems to be than I originally thought it was. It's not just a point to point story. There's a big world to actually explore and some kind of funny ways to do it. Like I did not expect fluffy, weird clown slash jester you can fly on or swim on or run around on as a vehicle. Did not see that coming. Um, they talked about the reactive turn-based combat. So while it is turn-based for standard stuff, you can react and parry during the fight to either deflect damage or cause damage back when you're attacked, which can either be affected by modifying your character or certain items that you're using. So I'm I want to see how that works. Even they said some people were having trouble at first trying to get the balance of it because it's continuously going, which I was shocked they actually admitted that. But they've been working on the balance and they said they've got it down a lot better. So, Stephen, we'll start with you. What was your your first reactions to this one, or how are you feeling about it?
I think this one, even though the collector's edition is exclusive to GameStop, um, because it comes with a music box that's like huge.
Oh, what? I didn't know about that.
Yeah, it's like a huge. The thing you saw in the first trailer, that like obelisk that had the number on it,
Oh yeah.
That's a music box in the collector's edition, so everybody's going wild to try to get that.
Oh shit.
um,
I'll wait till
but
somebody makes
I
the 3D
think
turtle.
this one is gaining a lot of traction because Chris is very excited for it. We heard one YouTuber call it French persona, and that kind of stuck. But now seeing more of the creatures, it's becoming more of like French metaphor, and then you see that alphabet of effects you can do, and I was just like, when they have charts and grids, that's how you can tell an RPG is going to be good because it's going to be complex as hell.
Yeah,
So
they went into it like each character has more than 20 unique skills in the skill tree, and then hundreds of
yeah,
passive effects to
and they
unlock.
weren't afraid to show you that either. They were like, "Look at all these skills you can do," and everybody's just like, "That's not overwhelming. That's probably what I'm looking
Made more
for."
ominous. There's so much stuff.
But yeah, there's building excitement over this because the collector's edition already even sold out, so it's insane.
Nice. Chase, what about you?
Yeah, this game looks good. I don't think I'll be the first one to play it though. Shano is more excited about it than I am.
April 24th, you can't play anything either. Got it.
Yeah, pretty much.
April,
I
you
was
just
like,
don't have an Xbox.
yeah, pretty much. We're sharing the Xbox now, and it's a pain in the ass. So I'm planning on getting her an Xbox in May, but I might have to push it to April at this point.
Push it up.
Oh my
I mean,
god.
this one technically is coming out on PS5. Couldn't she play it on that?
Oh yeah, technically.
Not
So
on Game Pass, but still.
right, but well, she likes physical media though, so she. But
I,
yeah, depending on, she might be like, "Oh, let's just get it on Game Pass for now and wait for like a sale to get it physically or something." So we'll see.
Gotcha.
But
Especially if she sees that music box.
yeah, but she's really excited for this one. But she's lived in France and everything for like a couple years and stuff. So she's like,
it's over then.
oh,
yeah,
yeah.
and she's actually, it's oddly funny enough, she's actually going to France this year with her mother and sister for vacation. So it's like, oh man,
This is a very French game.
yeah.
Even from their own admission. Yeah, the more I keep seeing about it, like I love the look of it, but once I saw the actual world and as they were flying around and stuff, I was like, okay, this could be way more involved to kind of dig into things than I initially thought. I might give it a shot. RPG is not my biggest thing. Depends on how long they last, but this one seems like it could have a good variety of being able to change stuff. So who knows? Maybe I'll stay more engaged this time. A couple things I noticed, like there's a number of characters that you can get that you can meet and have join your team. Like they were showing some different creatures that could join, including one that could duplicate and become enemies he's defeated. And, that's when they also talked about the clown jester looking thing that you can fly around on and use as a vehicle. One thing I kind of noticed though, because they talked about like the characters are like, oh, they're ancient. They've been around for so long. It's like, I guess the curse, because what the curse is, whatever number this giant lady paints, everyone that age or older just dies. They just fade away and disappear. So I guess that only affects the humans. So I wonder if that'll come into the story, because all the other creatures, if they're much more ancient and older, obviously it's not affecting them. So I'm kind of intrigued story wise if that's going to get brought up.
They're going to use the joke, "My numbers come up."
I'm sure that'll show up at least once, but it almost makes you wonder, like if there's creatures that don't like the humans, are they trying to stop them because they just know if they stop them long enough, they'll be wiped out and they don't have to worry about it? Or, it's kind of back and forth on how that affects them. I really hope that comes up in the story, because that's kind of the detail I noticed. All right, let's get down to the shit we really want to talk about. Oh, Doom: The Dark Ages. It's coming out May 15th for Game Pass, Series XS, PC, and PS5. And holy crap, this one's from id Software. Looks amazing. I loved when we first saw it, and then now we've actually got a deep dive and saw more of the world, and every little thing I hoped to have in a Doom game is here, which I am so happy about. So they did officially say this is a prequel to Doom 2016. So I'm kind of curious, will this end with you being in the sarcophagus that you get pulled out of in that game? But they did say that the story leads directly to the Doomslayer testaments that you could find in Doom 2016, where they would talk about the Doomslayer's history. So if you ever go back and listen to those, it's kind of like a little sneak peek on some of the stuff that you will eventually lead into, which is great. But just off initial reactions, Chase, I'll start with you. What's your feelings on this one?
I'm excited. The Because I've played Doom and Doom Eternal. Um, I do have one, maybe two reservations.
Ooh, what's up?
One reservation is the how they've changed the glory kills. It feels
I
like
love that because
uh
I hated the flashing because it was almost like the only way you're gonna get health is if you kill everybody that way.
well, it's the same thing though. You still glory kill them to get the health and the ammo and stuff, but like what they've done now is instead of having that like having the cinematics to where like you like they're like for instance you break the one's arm and then stab him in the face with his like with the bone that's sticking out, stuff like that. Now it's just you kind of just like kick him, but
It's
like
like
you're still
bullet
free
storm.
moving. Yeah, I just didn't
Well,
care for that. I like the animation
some
more than I like the just the oh you could still be free roaming
some of the
type.
if, as far hopefully I'm not incorrect on this, but some of the animations are still there. It's just you're no longer locked to having to be at particular directions to do it every time, which I'm hoping will make it feel less repetitive. Because sometimes you would just constantly get the I'm facing in front of them or going at them, so it would keep repeating the same animations again and again. And I'm kind of hoping that freedom of being able to be in any direction will open it up some. I agree if it's just kicking them and they go away, that would kind of suck.
Yeah, I
But
just think it's gonna be like because now you're gonna be either kicking them, or you're gonna be like doing something with your melee weapon, which we're gonna talk about in a sec. But like I think it's just gonna be that. Like I
Mm,
think this is more catering to people that don't want to like be stopped by an animation. They want to keep like free roaming, and it's like I don't necessarily care for that. Like I liked the animations. I thought they were fun. It's
I get
just
what you're
it's no
getting at.
different than like
Yeah.
execute. It's no different to me than like when you get to do like the finishers or the executions in Warhammer and
Mm,
stuff. When like the enemy was flashing, I loved that shit. Like because it
right.
was always fun to see like what you did depending on the weapon you had
But they
or
did
other
the same
things.
thing. But they did the same thing, saying if you want health, you need to do it.
Yeah, no, that's how you get your armor back, and
Yeah,
which I don't have a problem with. I mean, because I want to feel like this unstoppable force when I'm playing as the Doomslayer, when I'm playing as a Space Marine, when I'm playing as,
Right.
like even Ninja Gaiden. I want to feel like I could just walk up to something and like snap it in half. Kratos in the God of War, the early God of War games, like the part where you just like rip the guy in half and just like throw his body parts. So you decide it's like that was
Well,
fun.
it's literally the power fantasy thing.
Yeah,
That's the
it
point of it.
is.
You want to, yeah.
I
Um,
just I just don't like rewards tied behind it. That's all.
Hmm.
I
I don't
mean,
want to be like, oh crap, I hit him too many times and I did not do the kill, so now I don't get the extra bonus because I didn't stop my action
It was supposed
to.
to be.
well,
It
the
was supposed to.
reason why they did
Yeah.
that though is they incentivized you to keep moving. They didn't want it to be like Call of Duty where you're like hiding behind a pillar and like getting in. They want you to be moving around. They want you to be constantly like shifting and getting in people's faces and stuff like that. So I understand why they did it that way.
Yeah. What was your other reservation that you had?
So like it sounded good for the trailer for like those snippets that I heard. I love the music from what I heard in the trailer, but I'm kind of have my reservations about it because I'm a little bit like, I mean, and I don't know the full story, but I'm a little saddened that it's not Mick Gordon still.
Hmm.
So it's just I don't know if it's the music's going to necessarily hit as good as 2016,
I
but
will say earlier today, I finally got to watch it in 4K because I was watching it on my laptop the first time I got to see it. So earlier today, I watched the whole thing on the 4K on the display, and I had my studio monitors like cranked up, turned up the volume, and through those speakers while actually playing it, the music sounded phenomenal. I was like, "Do
yeah,
I
no, it
delay the
sounds
show so I can play some Doom?" Like I considered that, going like, "If I message them, would they be upset if I hold off a little bit?" Uh,
no, the music sounded great. The little bit that I heard, it's just that like I'm a little worried it's maybe not going to hit the same as like 2016 did.
from what I heard, I think we'll be okay. I can kind of see your reservations on it, and it probably does help to determine what you're listening to it on. Because I had it cranked up in here, and I was like, "Oh, okay, this feels good." Um, but yeah, I mean, anytime you change musicians or people that are making the music, you worry about losing that feeling of it. So Steven, what about you? What are your feelings on Doom: The Dark Ages of what we saw?
So, I'm gonna only slightly spoil what we're talking about a little bit later,
Okay.
and that is, I do like how they're changing things up. Yes, they're making things more accessible, but the things that interested me, which I dubbed Doomus Aaron, um, because I liked that it wasn't that they were trying something like more exploratory, because it was just the most open Doom has been where it's not just platforming; it
Yeah, I
was
got
actually
excited by
exploration.
that.
And but then on the flip side, I'm just like, I don't know about the Panzer Drag Doom mode, because I was like, that was very weird. And
Yeah, that felt
yes,
forced.
I will get to it. I won't spoil it, but there's one part where I absolutely despise it, and it's because they use that word too.
Oh
They
yeah, I
say
know exactly
mech.
what he's talking about. Yeah.
Oh, you would you would be uncomfortable at my house because there's like BattleTech and Mech Warrior and Robotech and Transformers and
You know,
stuff
we're gonna get to
everywhere.
it, but anyway, why why is it that then the prequel has a disgusting mech, but then the newer games, oh, technology sucks now because now we can't have mechs.
It's not that you find them, you find the remnants of them. The technology may not be there, but you, because I remember in 2016 in Eternal, you see the remnants
Yeah.
of these machines and the fights and their giant corpses, and you're like, holy shit, what happened here? And
Don't
we
you see
finally
one
get
at
to
the end
see
of
it.
Eternal, like in
Mm-hmm.
action,
I don't remember if it was in action or
or
not.
is that in like, or is that in like a DLC? Was there like an
It might
add-on
have
to the
been
stories?
DLC. I think it was DLC. You didn't control
Yeah.
it though.
That and
No.
even the mech mode has the cinematic kill. I was like, okay, thank you.
I mean, it's just gonna, it's giant size Doom. I mean, that's what it's gonna be.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's so over the top. It feels right to me. So I've already talked about how I feel about this. I'm super excited. I agree. The exploration is one of my favorite things. The fact that you can just explore this world and find like little stories and things in there while you're tearing through stuff. Um, so they rebalanced the movement and projectile speed to bring back the ability for strafing through projectiles, which is kind of cool. So just like in the original like 2D or well 3D Doom, um, you could move between the projectiles while they came at you while trying to attack. So that feeling comes back. I liked how they described. They had like little two words descriptions for each game. So Doom 2016, the thought behind it was run and gun. That was like you were talking about Chase, where they want you in their face and constantly pushing, not hiding behind stuff like the Call of Duty things where you're getting in target. They want you right in their face. Doom Eternal was jump and shoot, which I immediately just kept thinking jump and shooting man, like Mega Man. Um, because they wanted more of an acrobatic movement as you're using the
Yeah.
grappler and boosting around and stuff, which was fun but a little more complicated. This one for Doom: The Dark Ages, they're using stand and fight. Where the other description was of Doom Eternal, you were a fighter jet. This one, you're a tank. Like you're meant to just stand your ground, tear through these groups, and just brutalize everything.
So the next one's lay down and die.
That's what we're getting old. I mean, it's going to happen eventually. Uh, larger and explorable worlds that we talk about with multiple locations, factions, and stories, which is going to be great. Um, they showed more about the shield, which it's going to be a contextual control for block, throw, parry, and deflect. And it seems almost like I kept thinking Cuphead, where you would see projectiles coming at you, but ones that were green seemed like they could be parried and reflected back. Because like you'd see a bunch of orange ones and they'd go for the one green one to hit them and do
Yeah.
stuff. So I want to see how that works, but I like the fact you can throw it to kind of like stun and stick it inside of a creature and it's like tearing into them while you're attacking. You can ram things with it, which they showed for platforming. You could use it to move platforms around or break through walls. You could throw the shield to operate gears to open doors and gates, which that definitely felt Metroid like when you said that earlier, Steven. I was like, oh, okay, we're just going to learn new abilities and that's going to unlock new paths. Doom is a Metroidvania now. Kind of, well, I guess it kind of was a little bit before. The melee stuff, Chase, that you talked about earlier, we have three options: an iron flail, electrified gauntlet, and a doom spiked mace, as they called it. That's also a contextual one, and all of these have different trees you can unlock with different abilities and things. So you get to kind of choose which way it works with. I'm looking forward to the flail because I just love smashing that into something's head. It seems fitting. Um, let's see. From there, we had more of like crazy weapons. I always love the ridiculous weapons of Doom. You usually have your standards of like the shotguns, the chainsaw, the double barrel shotgun. You'll have the minigun, the plasma rifle, the BFG, rocket launcher, stuff like that. It seems like we're getting new versions of those, but we're also getting a lot of new designed weapons.
Old versions of those.
Touche, old
New
versions
old.
of those.
Yeah.
I
Old.
I liked the spike gun. Seeing the Hell Knight come out, and you're just like, oh, this is gonna be a fun fight, and he just shoots it in the head, and you just see it immediately pinned to the wall and dangling, and I'm like, oh, that's gonna be great. Go ahead, Chase.
Yeah, the way they did the weapon design was quite interesting because we went from like kind of, I don't know, which I guess like sci-fi fantasy
Mm-hmm.
in the other two to now we're going to like this sci-fi medieval gothic, and was like, oh, okay, this is interesting.
Yeah, it's weird they keep referring to everything as like the medieval battlefield, and I'm like, I'm seeing people in like jetpacks and armor, and I'm like,
But
I get where you're
the
going at,
art,
but
like the stylization of it, though, it still looks like medieval gothic. It's just like,
mm-hmm.
oh yeah, this is. I mean, they've
I
definitely
like it.
worked very well with what they have.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not complaining.
And I can see how the Doomslayer's armor would eventually become the one he has from 2016. Over time, like the fur would deteriorate and stuff like that, but the armor still being there. I still absolutely love the design of the gun that just continuously chews up skulls and just shoots the bits out. It's like the most horrific thing. Just let me just feed in human skulls, and it's just going to grind them up and shoot you with bone bits.
Yeah, I was like, what on earth is that? That I like paused it for a second. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that's like the most doom thing I could think of. Okay,
Kill your enemy, shove his head in there, and you got ammo.
yeah,
See, that would be a fun animation for one of the glory kills. Like just literally tear their head off, peel the skin off, and just shove their head into reload.
right.
Oh man. Um. So yeah, beyond the weapons, of course, Steven's favorite part is the 30-story mech that you get to you get to pilot. Which we got to see in the previous ones, like we talked about before, of remnants of it. So I'm kind of excited to see it. And they even talked about they've kind of teased it for a couple of games and finally let you drive it. The cybernetic dragon breathes fire and has a Gatling gun. The Panzer Drag Doom is, you forced it, but I'm okay with it. I'm here for that. That's a
Yeah.
great description.
It was either that or Lair.
Don't do that. Come on, Steven. Have some freaking taste. Even you can't be that mad at this. Oh man.
That game showed so much promise.
It does. Are you talking about Lair?
Yeah.
Broken promises.
Broken promises, yeah. They showed promise, but they broke all of it.
What kills me is that game cost us like a complete edition of the Star Wars Rogue Squadron on the Wii. It killed it. Like it was done, and they just. Anyways.
Yeah.
So this is hands down the most accessible Doom that's ever been made. I really, really like the options of how you can customize it, and people are going to complain, but like this works both ways. I love that. So here's all the stuff that you can adjust: damage to player, damage to demons, enemy projectile speed, enemy aggression, parry window timing, days duration, game speed, and resource value. And these can all be decreased or increased. So you can make it easier for certain stuff if you want to just enjoy it, or you need help with something, or if people may have developmental or other issues that make it harder for them to play, they can make it more in line for them. Or if you're just a sick bastard, you can jump everything up as high as you can go and make it even harder to give you almost no reaction time, to make the enemies have so much more health, but you take so much more damage, and it runs like 150% speed. Like it's just
While running at 240 frames per second.
probably,
Unless you use the new graphics cards that can push more frames with AI.
Yeah, then you're running like 10 frames a second, but it makes up the other 300 frames. Just whatever. I still don't.
Not sure what's gonna look like, but
Go ahead, Steven.
The one thing I'm most interested about is the lore, because
Mm-hmm.
because somebody recently covered it. Confirmed by John Romero and Tom Hall, Doom Guy
Mm-hmm.
is the son of Commander Keen. Okay, the old Commander Keen games, and thus is the great grandson of B.J. Blazkowicz. They're all the same family.
That, I
So
guess, makes
all
sense.
three of those characters are family. They're a generational family. But then where does medieval Doom Guy fall into play?
How does Commander Keen father that guy? Like, I know you find his helmet in some of the previous games, but dear
who
God.
was the? I forget the father. Who was the mother? Like, how did she not just die? When he's just like,
Oh,
did he just rip his way out of the womb? Just like,
it was a reverse cesarean.
yeah, something. Like like he should have. That had like been a scene out of Alien. Just
Doom Mom just sat and birthed. There you
yeah,
go.
apparently.
No running gun, no
Jesus.
jumping shoot, no stand and fight, just sat and birthed.
God.
Jesus.
Next up was feed and burp.
Yeah.
Oh man. So, all right, let me get here. So let's just real quick give ourselves a letter grade of this Xbox showcase. Steven, we'll start with you.
I'll give it an A.
Nice. Chase?
A plus, S tier, N tier for Ninja, whatever you need. It was fucking great. Like,
N plus plus.
yep. Like,
I
two
think I'm,
thumbs up, everything. Loved it.
yeah, I think I'm going to go S tier as well, just because I like the fact that, like, yeah, there was only what, 5 games ended up being shown. And some people are like, oh, that's not that much. But like, they really, they gave them the time they needed, let the developers
Yeah.
talk about it, showed gameplay, gave us release dates, really sold every one of these games, even the one I was least interested in, which was the Clair Obscura. Not because that was a bad game, but because I was like, well, it's RPG. It may not be my thing. I'm interested now. I'm tempted to get it, to at least give it a try. And I think that's the best you can do of any of these kind of things. If you can make even people on the edge finally kind of tilt over and give it a shot. Go ahead, Chase.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, touching on that, like, can we just kind of maybe think about it for a second? Has Microsoft kind of figured out like a good rhythm for like having certain presentations where they show off like a rapid fire amount, to like game, just so that way we see a lot of games that we get interested in some of them. But then they actually have these little directs where they can be like, let's sit down, let's actually talk about this game. So that way you actually kind of understand more about it, and you're like, oh, okay, now you had my curiosity, now you have my attention, type thing.
I think all they need to get rid of is some of the pretentious developer stuff.
Yeah.
Especially when if you watch back the Doom one again, you can tell that he's this way and he's reading his script saying this is the greatest thing we've ever put together. But then you have another person who's acting off the cuff, like an actual reaction. But other of them are just like, we have a world map and it's big, and I was just like, oh, don't.
I think that comes down to some people that may be creative, but they may not be the best in front of a camera, but they still want to talk about what they've done. So I can kind of forgive them for that. And I, any day of the week, would rather have the developers talking about it in whatever way they want to, over what we used to get all the time of like, you know, fake online play while they're trying to show it off. And it's like, hey, Red Leader, let's go over here and do this. Oh, cover
Yeah,
me. I'm going
I
in.
would just rather just see
God.
them just talk real quick and not have the show the guy like just rotating a shader, and I'm like, yay.
Well, I mean, they're just, as they're talking, it's just showing the work. I mean,
It's
I
just
don't
B
know.
But
roll.
I think
so
it's
far everything's
better.
better than the State of Decay, so we're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely like the fact that they're kind of mixing in some of the developer stuff, and it's not just show a game, move on, or they've learned a good pattern to separate those out. So these are particularly focused on certain stuff. Few surprises, but they told us ahead of time. We know what we're getting into when we go into it for most part, and you can kind of separate it out. And they usually release the trailers and stuff afterwards to divide it out individually. And I like that they do still have where they just like, here's a game, here's a game, here's a game, and they just go through it and give you
Yeah.
links stuff later to expand it out. I think there's a place for both, and they've learned to try not to shove those together like they used to, where they would try and have a bunch of announcements, talk for a while, bunch of announcements, talk for a while, because it would just really pump the brakes and feel weird on the timing. Like do one or the other, and then let us explore to the other side of it. So Microsoft seems to be learning. Sony needs to get their shit together, and Nintendo just needs to give me my Switch too, or a February Direct. I'll take that too. Give me more Switch games. So, all right, let's move on to our last story bit for the night. So this one is all about Capcom has announced that they'll be using generative AI to push back on rising development costs. So this headline, part of why I wanted to talk about it is it's once again, it's pushing AI as being a bad thing. And I think the title was kind of clickbaity once I actually read into it a little bit more, but I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about it. So they state that it's more for coming up with, quote, hundreds of thousands of unique ideas, end quote, and not for creating stories or gameplay. The more I read into this, they said they developed a system that uses AI models like Gemini Pro, Gemini Flash, and Imagen, which they feed text, images, and tables about whatever they're developing so that it can generate ideas and then check their quality against pre-checked assets in order to automatically refine outputs. I know that sounded like a bunch of gibberish, but basically they're taking their design documents and ideas and things, feeding it into the AI. It's generating like background items and like the minutia of a world. So like if you're running around a city, it's making a messed up soda can or a broken TV or little things that might be in the background you may not even pay attention to, instead of them taking the time and making those individually. They still have to, they set up the pre-check to try and thin out what comes out. They still go back and refine it. And I get it, for AI, for creativity is not something I like to see, because AI in itself, I will say, is not a creative tool at all, but it can be a tool for them to be able to make some of this stuff, maybe to help them out. And I'm at least better with that. They're not trying to actually make the story generated or the character designs and stuff like that. So I wanted to put the question to you guys of how you felt about this. Like, is there an appropriate level of AI you feel that is usable, that does not affect creativity? Steven, go ahead.
I think non-story conversational AI, perfect use. Machine learning AI to that even some of the graphics cards are using to increase texture models, not replace faces or anything, but to increase texture models so they get kind of like a boost. That is welcome. The dark side of it is, and the perfect example, especially if you look at Digital Foundry's recent video about Grand Theft Auto Trilogy Definitive Edition, is when they first released it, they used AI on all the textures. So all the posters that used to say actual products don't say words. It's an AI mess. It's like that Willy Wonka thing that happened in England where nothing reads correctly. And the patch they recently put forward, it's not 100% completed, but a lot of it has fixed a lot of the AI, because they did not have what this one has, and that's check the quality against pre-checked assets. This one, they just said, it's good, ship it. And people were like, I went up to the auto mechanic and it doesn't even say a word. It says like, blah, blah, blah. It's just like, there's no more letters. So I think as long as there's quality assurance behind the AI, I'm a little bit more lax in saying, okay, that's a good idea of what you're using it for. But if you're just saying it so we can pump out more games a la Pocket Pair, then that's not going to fly.
All right. Chase, what about you? What's your thoughts on this?
I don't mind what they're doing. I'm kind of like, I'm not gonna like go super deep into it because I'm pretty much gonna echo what YouTube just said. So, like, I'm okay with how they're using it. I mean, at the end of the day, like, games they're more expensive than they've ever been to make and stuff. I can understand why they want to try certain things to like, level the cost out. I don't think they should do things that necessarily cost a bunch of people's jobs,
Yeah.
but like, I don't necessarily mind what they're doing in this case. So, yeah, no, I'm all right
Yeah,
with it.
I'd rather have, instead of the guy whose job it is to make all these random text and models and textures, I'd rather than his new job to be, I need you to fine tune all the ones that have been placed in there instead. So then
Yeah.
instead of having to, again, because it's coming up with the ideas for you that aren't that integral to the story or the action,
Right.
that they can go in and fine tune it to make it a more immersive experience. So I still think that gives the person the job. It's just that their quality assurance for the AI, which is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want them using it to create, the characters, the story, your weapons, direct items you're interacting with, things like that. Like, but just background stuff, especially anything that takes place in a city or, God forbid, like a ruined city. There's so much just junk and clutter everywhere, and half the time it would just be the same model over and over again, or piles of junk, or something that would look right as you walked by, but you never really stopped and paid attention to it. So I agree. If the people that would take the time to make these little touches, which are still fun to have, and hopefully it doesn't stop them from doing on occasion, little hidden things here and there, let them do other jobs that they need to do, then, that's a decent way to actually save a little bit of money and use AI, I think, more realistically. As, don't replace anybody, just kind of help out. So, all right, let's move on to the speed run. All right, so quickly, our news bits for this. We got Ted Price, the founder and president of Insomniac Games, has announced he is retiring from PlayStation after 30 years. And he said, quote, "It was simply time to step aside and let others pave the way." So good luck to him wherever he's going. Next up, Sony quietly cancels a Horizon MMO among other live service titles. So that's now Horizon Zero Dawn had an MMO. God of War had a live action game that they canceled.
I think we need
Last
a
of Us.
Sony state of dismay where they just list all the games they've canceled this year.
Seriously.
Like, how do you hire a studio as brilliant as Blue Point Games? Sorry, how do you buy a studio as good as Blue Point Games, who's great at remastering old content and making great games, and assign them a live service title? It's like,
A God of War live service title, which didn't even make any sense.
that's like telling like Miyamoto, I need you to make a Resident Evil. He's gonna be like, get out of here.
It's going to be the most adorable, funny Resident Evil ever, but it's not going to be what you're looking for. All right, speaking of Nintendo, Nintendo added Fatal Fury 2, Super Ninja Boy, and Sute Hakun to NSO Super Nintendo for Nintendo Switch Online. Fatal Fury 2, I went back and played it. Not as good as I remember. Boy, that game is cheap. Super Ninja Boy 2 or Super Ninja Boy confused the living shit out of me because that game is so weird. And then I haven't played the other one. I've seen videos of it. It seems like a very obscure puzzle game that I guess may have been a satellite view or Satellaview game originally. So that makes sense. The next game from the developers of Celeste, called Earthblade, has officially been canceled as the developer splits from their pixel artist Pedro Medeiros. The split seems to be on good terms, as they mentioned Pedro's upcoming Neverway title that the remaining members will look to see where they go next. So if you were waiting on that, it is sadly not happening. And last little bit, in a recent interview on the Gamertag Radio podcast, Xbox President Phil Spencer stated Microsoft was really looking forward to supporting the upcoming Nintendo Switch 2 with Xbox games. He said, quote, "Nintendo and their innovation, what they mean in this industry, I just always applaud the moves that they make. Quit making your, your Switch and Xbox controllers kiss." That's how you get stick drift. It's stick drift is a sexually transmitted disease between controllers.
It's gonna do more than drift.
What STD stands for? Stick drift.
Oh, God damn it. Oh, that's great. So I wanted to ask you guys real quick, what Xbox games do you want most to see brought to the Switch 2? Steven, start with you.
Um, I'll be honest, and it could be a lot, and I think eventually this should just be a big question
Mm-hmm.
after April 2nd. But I'm already following suit with the rumors, and I think it would be a perfect system to get Halo Master Chief Collection, Hi-Fi Rush, Flight Simulator 2.
That'd be an
Um,
interesting one because that's not a light game. That's a tough one to run.
so I think those three right off the bat, especially Halo Master Chief Collection, because bring back local. Like they couldn't do it on the Xbox, but I was like, bring back local. Like make it that I can LAN up like tons of switches and play 16 players again, because people will do it, and people will go to cafes to do it because
Oh, was
they'll
it
know
Switch?
all they have
Set
to do is be
everybody
in
up
the same room. So make it happen, Nintendo, Microsoft, print that money.
for sure. Chase, what about you? What Xbox games do you want to see brought over?
Oh, I mean, I liked Swan's answers, but I was like, I don't know. I mean, I can't really think of like a Microsoft game that I'm like, oh yeah, that'd fit on the Nintendo.
I
I mean,
know
Gears
one.
would be kind of fun.
I was
But
like, I know
Gears
you're
Collection,
thinking Gears.
but with all the blood removed.
give me the Gears collection. Let me chainsaw people in half on my Switch.
How that would be. I don't even know how I'd feel about that if the Gears collection
It
came.
uses motion
I'd
control.
love it.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be great. So
Um,
my answer is fairly simple and has two words: rare replay. That needs to be on the Switch too. Full collection would be absolutely fantastic. Bring in those generations because most of them are Nintendo games. That's what's hilarious to me.
I'll believe that when we get Disney Afternoon Collection on Switch too.
Touche.
hey, why not Ninja Gaiden?
Apparently, there already is a Ninja Gaiden trilogy on the Switch.
Yeah, there's Master Collection.
I didn't know
is there?
about it.
Yeah, so you can play. I have it. You can play all three, like the Wii U version and the other two right now on Switch, and that's why I was like silently smiling to Chris while watching the direct because I was like, "Hey, if it says Xbox Series S, it probably runs on Switch too as well."
That's a good point, actually.
That's what I mean. Like we could get Ninja Gaiden 4 and maybe Ninja Gaiden 2 Black. I mean, I don't know.
That's what I was kind of hoping that would happen because that would have given Xbox even more exposure. But I'm wondering if everybody is tight-lipped and not allowed to mention a new system
Well,
yet, or like who's going to be the first big publisher to be like, this is coming out for Switch 2, and it's not something that could work on Switch 1. So if you see like a new open world game and it says Switch 2, then you're like, oh crap, the first official Switch 2 game, third party, has been announced. Like, who's going to be the first one to do it?
Yeah, I think we're going to get cross-generation for some of the third party for a while just because the market's so big. But I think even Nintendo themselves said that they announced the Switch 2 so third parties could go ahead and start announcing stuff if they wanted to. But Microsoft, I feel, is big enough that they would be part of the main, like the actual unveiling. I could see them having a spot on the April 2nd, specifically talk about, oh, here's Microsoft teaming up with us, and we're getting Sea of Thieves and this, these other games coming.
One thing is that one better be the longest direct they've had in a while.
Yeah, seriously, it's gonna be a 40-minute. No, double that. Let's go. We need more.
It's gonna be 40 minutes. They're gonna talk about Donkey Kong Returns HD that's out now, and you're gonna be like, "Stop wasting our time."
I'm thinking about pulling a Steven and taking that day off. Like I want to be home and just enjoy it.
I know the pre-orders are gonna come up that day. It always happens, so I gotta be there.
Yeah,
So.
I'm saying it right now. If I take that day off and you've got that day off, we will stream us watching that and have reactions in real time. We need to. It would be hilarious.
What day is that again?
April 2nd for us. So
April 3rd for me.
Yeah. I was like, sometime in the future for you.
And you just got to make sure that we can't hear each other's audio.
No kidding.
That's the only thing that makes me stop doing reactions with different states or time zones. Is just like I hate the delay sometimes. So I was like, yeah, yes, that means like the it's harder to get the reaction at the same time. Like it takes some finagling. Well, you get somebody who has just a bad connection and it buffers for 2 seconds, and you're like.
Well, the nice thing is through Discord, since I pay for it, I can put the video on there, and we all get it. We watch it at the same time, so we don't hear each other's audio. We only hear ours, and we can talk. that's kind of how I planned on doing it and just recording that locally so we could put it up or do whatever. So, all right, let's move on from that and go into the big question. All right, so our question for this week: when times are rough, what are the comfort games that you go into or you go to in order to get some respite from the world, single and or multiplayer? Steven, we'll start with you.
I thought Chase had the best answers, but I'll go first. Yeah.
Well, his is very detailed.
Yeah. His
And
needs his
bullshit.
own section. Okay. I guess like some of this, I don't have games that I use to like get comfort most of the time. It's just more something that when I see it, I'll play it again, or when I do start it up, I'll get hooked on it.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing with these is it's one of them is Super Castlevania 4. Every time it's been announced in another collection, I boot it up, I beat it, I put it back because it feels so good to play through that. It's a love letter to Castlevania 1.
That first level in the music is always something I love to hear and just go through.
Just the difference in stages and such. Just it's miles beyond the NES original, and it just makes it more playable. Paving the way for stuff like Doom: The Dark Ages being more playable. Gotta have those options. Another one is Power Wash Simulator, because whenever a new set comes out, Chris and I play that, and it's kind of like we've booked a therapy session because you can turn your brain off while cleaning, just read the story, and just talk about life. Just talk, like, when you say to yourself, like, I wish I could just go to a bar and talk with some friends. I'm like, well, the new thing is now you just boot up Power Wash Simulator, you pick a level, have 6 players, and then you guys can all talk to each other. I've seen people even do that on YouTube now. They just talk while cleaning, and you suddenly zone out, and you're not while you're watching the cleaning, you're just listening to what they say, which is nice. Probably exclusive to only a few types of people is a game like Unpacking, because you're literally just opening boxes and finding out where they go, and that's what I like to do in my room.
I'm kind of doing that in the game room right now.
Yeah, so it's that organizational thing, like, where does this go, where does that go? I need a place for everything so I know where it is. As Rosie from the Jetsons would say, a place for everything and everything in its place. So, but finally, because it's only mentioned a few times on our podcast, but a game called ZZZ, mainly because
Never heard of it.
I know it's a new game. You should try it out.
Talk about it more.
I think I saw that you started it. But anyway, that one is unique because they had an interview with the developers, and unlike other games of its type, he looked at games like Devil May Cry, Dynasty Warriors, Metal Gear Rising, and such, and he said he likes it when you feel like you're super powerful. But he made more stylized into it. So the characters talk and say things like it's over, and they click their sword together, and blades go everywhere and slice them up. So there's a lot of cinematic stuff to just make you feel like on top of the world. So even when you feel like you're a weak and minuscule person or something, or you just feel like you're getting beaten down, like, I can boot up that game, and even though, yes, I've played through all the modes already, I can still go into it because there's grinding, and I always feel super powerful while it's looking really stylized, because they just added a character that's basically Spider-Man on crack. And yes, she's an anime girl again. And they made another one who fights with songs. And again, just like with South of Midnight, just to hear the music, I told Chris, I was just like, I don't know, it's because the actual song is in Korean, but the rest has to just be your normal humming and such to different tunes. But I was like, the sounds of her singing brings me back to Lunar. And then, like, when something brings me back to an earlier game, that's also comforting, because Neo Fantasia has done that with reminding me of Final Fantasy VI, and now this new character is reminding me of Lunar, because that remaster is going to suck. So yeah, those are mine.
Nice. Good answers. All right, Chase, what about you?
Okay.
Let me get a pen. I got to write these down.
it's just gaming for me. Like that's my
Oh,
answer. Like I don't necessarily have like a particular one, but I just enjoy playing video games just because it's like it's a form of escapism, right? It's like it's a medium for fun for me. Even like, you know, if I had a shitty day or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
just play whatever game I'm playing at the time. I could either like shoot something in Stalker, or I could like, you know, wade through like thousands of people in Dynasty Warriors, or I can, you know, like cut somebody in half with my chainsaw bayonet and gears. Like, just doesn't matter. Like, it's just gaming. And
Right.
like, and on top of that though, gaming with friends. Gaming with friends is just, that's
That's a
always the
good answer.
best. It's always the way I prefer to play my games. I do enjoy my single player stuff, but like if it's definitely got co op multiplayer, I'm going to choose co op multiplayer with friends. That's just because at the end of the day, it's just makes every. You can play a shitty game with a friend and it'd still be fun.
Oh, we've
Swan
done
knows
it.
exactly what game I'm talking about. There is a like it's a, I can't even call it a hidden gem. It's a hidden turd of a game called Damnation. It should stay hidden. But like Swan and I played that game and we made it so like
it's
we just
Yippee!
yeah, we just like talked so much shit that we actually made the game fun. It was like it still like sticks with me to this day just because of that. So yeah, it's yeah, that's the best way I could describe it for me.
Nice. That
Swan,
was a
go
good
ahead.
answer. Yeah, go ahead.
Because of Chase's enthusiasm, I just remembered two more that are
Nice.
multiplayer based. Because I can just keep playing them, and
Mhm.
I don't care if I'm beating the game, beating the campaign. And those are Burnout 3 Revenge, which needs a modern port so bad
God,
because
I
both the
agree.
mode where you're just taking out each other or cars or the crash mode, infinitely replayable for me. And then the other one, which Chase knows because I like coming up with just excuses after we do it, is Sniper Elite, which is another one's coming out next week. Is every time
Yes.
we got an X-ray kill, I would just think of something to say about where he was shot, and I love doing that.
I'm gonna find a way to get that so I can join you guys. I don't want to be left out on that one.
After you shoot somebody in the eye, they just see their eye explode. It's like didn't see it coming. It's like, oh man,
It's
You
all
shoot
the
him in the
one
balls, you're like,
liners.
"Missed for that." And
all right. So for me, I had 4 games that I picked, and these were ones that, depending, be it a bout of depression, something going on in life, whatever around the world, things that kind of I will go into to kind of feel comfort for a couple different reasons. So, first one is Minecraft, because that one I either have the server that we have that is continuous and I can go into and enjoy and kind of build on, but also just sometimes going into a new world just to kind of start over. It's like, okay, we're wiping everything off. You have kind of a set things you need to do to survive. And it's a new world to explore. So there's things to do. And it just kind of helps take you out of things a little bit better sometimes. The second one is Super Metroid, which for me is still considered my greatest game of all time. Like that is my number one, hands down. Um, it's not a very long game. You can get through it pretty quick, but I will sit down and play through that entire game, sometimes in one sitting, beginning to end, just to go through the story, which is without words for most of it, um, and to kind of get that feeling of accomplishment of finding these things, going through stuff, beating bosses, getting more powerful, and you kind of by the end of it feel so much more indestructible. Like you can just tear through things, and you're beating the world and fighting back. So that's always been kind of a comfort one. My next one is Kirby's Adventure for the NES. This one is because that game is just freaking adorable. I just love that game. It is an absolutely top-notch platformer. Even today, it still plays so well. I like to go back and play the 3DS one as well because they smoothed out the frame rate. The 3D effects are really good. But part of why I absolutely loved it is this is a game my brother and I used to play when he was little. So it always had really good memories for that. And then turn around, and my daughter is absolutely obsessed with Kirby. So it's one that I always can play with her. So I get really good memories with that one. So it always just kind of makes me smile when I play it, on top of the fact it's just a really fun game. And lastly is Animal Crossing. And this is technically any of them because I have every one of them. be it a Japanese N64 copy I got from a guy that's his town is still there. I wish I could remember how to pronounce his name, but I'm taking care of your town, dude. All the way up to my GameCube ones and all the way up to the Switch. I like returning to the old villages. Like if I can't figure out what to do and I need to do something, you'll go in and so much time has passed, you'll have to clean up the town. So as I'm kind of going around and cleaning and rebuilding things and starting things back up, it's kind of comforting to accomplish something. If I feel like I'm stuck and I can't do anything, it's little things that I can kind of accomplish to get myself motivated to do other stuff. So I guess that's kind of these are how I was thinking of it with the comfort type games. Was I guess in that mindset. I agree. Multiplayer with friends is fantastic. I've had absolutely shitty days where all of us have gone back and we were playing through Gears of War or trying to play Halo, which turned into an absolute mess because of an
Under
internet
the
connection.
sea.
Oh god,
Under
it
the
was
sea.
molasses. That was the slowest I've ever played Halo 3.
Is this Halo 4 or South of Midnight?
South of Midnight had a more consistent animation frame rate.
Ouch.
Yeah. So, all right. So I think that was a pretty good answer. So we'll go ahead and wrap up this show. All right. So you can find the podcast in audio form wherever you listen to your shows and the video version over on YouTube at our channel, Zenspath COM. Both can easily be found over on zenspath.com/podcast as well. Leave us a review if you can to help us grow, like and share the show with others, and leave us a comment on YouTube to tell us how you feel about the show and maybe answer this week's big question. What are your comfort games, be it single player or multiplayer games, when the world feels like it's pushing down on you? Talk to us directly over on Discord is the easiest way to find us, and chat with the latest news and happenings with the link for the Discords being bit.ly/ZenspathDiscord. You can find us on there and talk. All right. Well, I have been your host, Jeremy Powers. This has been episode 159 of the Zenspath Entertainment Network podcast, and we're out. Peace.
Let's make out.
Oh, it's a 3-way. That's crossplay in a weird way.